welcome back to Yoga for You. Today's class, we're going to move the entire body. We're going to get our blood flow circulating, and we're going to get our energy moving, and we're going to warm up all of our joints. So you can sit in a chair if you're not comfortable sitting on the floor. This is where we'll start, and I'll try to give you some modifications if you're not comfortable on the floor. So seated cross-legged or with your legs extended. We can put our hands on our knees, and we'll start to make a big circle by rolling from our left side of our pelvis to the right side of our pelvis. And we're circling our torso. We're moving from the abdominal area. Now this is very good for your digestive system. So if you've just had a big meal, it might not feel very comfortable. But we don't want to do yoga on a full stomach anyway. We'd like to have a fairly empty stomach when we do yoga. So we make a big circle in one direction, and then we reverse the direction and go in the opposite way. Just warming up the lower back, warming up the hips, massaging the digestive organs. Okay, and now we'll come back to the center. Let's take a moment finding those two sit bones again. Remember we did that before. We rock a bit from side to side, finding those bones in the pelvis and sitting on them equally so the spine has a chance to be nice and tall. So let's warm up our shoulders. Let's roll the shoulders forward and up and back and down, and forward and up and back and down. And we'll add the breath. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. And we're doing this to bring circulation and blood flow into the neck and shoulders. So if you've had an injury in your shoulders or the upper body, this will help to bring the blood flow back. But if there's pain, then you can do less or make those movements smaller. Okay, so you can do this as often as you like during the day, maybe 25 times, and then have a minute rest, and then 25 more times, another minute's rest. Just as many times as you like. Listen to your body. And then once you're finished, we'll rest, close our eyes, and feel the sensations, feel the energy flowing through the upper body. And then we'll move on to the next movement. We're sitting on both of our sit bones. We're going to do a little twist to one side and come back to the center and do a twist to the other side. As we come back to the center, we inhale, get a sense of lengthening our spine, and as we exhale, we focus on the twist. Inhale back to the center, exhale, turning, and inhale back to the center. So you want to ensure that your lower spine is involved in this twist. So if you get a sense of your navel turning to the side in your twist, and your spine should be in a nice vertical position. We don't want to be leaning back or leaning forward. So a nice vertical spine, and we want to include this abdominal area of the spine. And you might feel yourself warming up. You might feel it's getting easier. So you can stay in this twist if you like. You can stay here and inhale, lengthen up through the top of the head, down through the sit bones, and exhale, relax into the twist. Inhale, come back to the center. Exhale to the other side. Shoulder blades down. Spine nice and vertical. Inhale, lengthen up through the top of the head, down through the sit bones. Exhale, relaxing into the twist. And then we'll come back to the center. In twists, if you have any pain in your spine, then stop doing the twists. That might mean you have a herniated disc or a bulging disc. So you'll feel that in a twist. So that's when you stop. We'll do some side stretching. We'll put the left hand on the floor beside us, the right arm alongside the right ear, shoulder blade down your back, and then we'll slide the hand along the floor, reaching up through the lifted arm and keeping the right sit bone on the floor. So you don't want this to happen. So pressing the right sit bone down into the floor, reaching up through the right hand, and imagine the right sit bone and the right hand moving away from each other. And you breathe. We inhale into the belly, exhale, the belly empties. Inhale coming up, and exhale down. Inhale the left arm alongside the left ear, shoulder blade down the back. Slide the right hand along the mat. Try to straighten the arm that you're lifting. Try to energize the fingers and reaching up to the sky. You press your left sit bone down towards the floor very gently, just to get that sense that the left sit bone and the left hand are moving away from each other. You can stay here as long as you like or move out of it as soon as you can or as soon as you like. Inhale coming up and exhale down. I like to do things about 3 times on each side because the body responds to repetitive movement. The muscles have a memory, and by the 3rd time you're getting a wonderful stretch. And think about, where is your head? We don't want the head to be hanging back like this, and we don't want the head to be dropping forward like this. We want all sides of the neck to be open. So try not to collapse the neck. And one more time on each side. Can either. There we go. Good. Okay, this next movement is called the newspaper stretch. Many of my students love this one because it brings a lot of circulation into your back. So we start here with the palms face up, elbows nice and close to the body. We inhale and we reach up, and then we bring the elbows back down to shoulder height with our exhalation. So the elbows are in line with the shoulders and the fingers are in line with the elbows. We inhale and reach up, and then exhale, bring the chin to the chest. Keeping the chin on the chest, we reach up higher again with our inhalation. And with the next exhalation, bring the elbows back to shoulder height, head neutral. Inhale, take the elbows back as though you're squeezing your shoulder blades inward. And with the last exhalation, we exhale up through the mouth. We round our backs and stretch the arms forward as far as we can. So your back becomes rounded and you're stretching your arms in the opposite direction. Now bring your hands to your lap and you sit up, and that's the movement, but we're going to do that 2 more times. Starting here, we inhale and reach up. Exhale, elbows to shoulder height. Inhale, reaching up again. Exhale, chin to the chest. Inhale, reaching up higher. Exhale, elbows to shoulder height, head neutral. And then inhale, taking the elbows back, squeezing the shoulder blades inward. Exhale up through the open mouth. Let all of the breath out. Keep exhaling until you completely have no breath left at all. and then down. Noticing how you feel in your back. We'll do that one more time. Starting here, inhale, reaching up. Exhale, elbows to shoulder height. Inhale, reaching up again. Exhale, chin to the chest. Inhale, reaching up again. Exhale, elbows to shoulder height, head neutral. Inhale, taking the elbows back, squeezing the shoulder blades inward. Exhale up through the open mouth. And bring the arms down. Just sitting up. Close your eyes for a moment and notice how your back feels. Returning to your breath. So we're going to keep our spines nice and tall, and we're going to bring the chin down to the chest and feel the stretch in the back of our neck, or maybe down into our upper back. Be aware of your breath. Stay present by focusing on your breath. And then with your chin on the chest, take your chin over to the right, as though you're looking at your right armpit. And stay there and breathe. Your inhale, breathing into the belly. Exhale, the belly empties. Just notice where the stretch is, where you're feeling any tightness. And then we'll bring the chin back to the center and then over to the left, as though you're looking at your left armpit. And notice the difference between the two sides. Just be aware of what you're feeling. Be aware of your breath. And then we'll bring the chin back to the center. Slowly bringing your head back to neutral. So neutral should be a nice flat position under your chin. We don't want the chin to be lifting up or lowering down. So we start with this level position, and the next movement for the neck is turning the head to look over your shoulder without moving the rest of the body. We inhale as we come back to the center, get a sense of lengthening, and we exhale, we turn the head to look over the other shoulder. Keeping the shoulders still, relaxing the shoulder blades down towards the floor. Inhale back to the center, create the lengthening. Exhale, turning your head to look over the shoulder. Inhale to the center, exhale to the other side. And inhale back to the center. Just close your eyes for a moment and feel. Feel the sensations. Feel how the body has responded to the yoga. Then open your eyes. And then another movement that the neck needs is the ear to the shoulder. Just bringing the right ear to the right shoulder and seeing what happens. Does it feel tight? Can you take your ear to the shoulder without rotating your head? Inhale back to the center, get a sense of the lengthening of the spine. Exhale, ear to the shoulder. Keep the shoulder blades down and notice which side has more mobility, which side is tighter. Try not to push or force anything, just find your limit, your edge. Inhale back to the center, pause there for the lengthening. Exhale, ear to the shoulder. Finding out which muscles are tight. Which side of your neck is looser. Inhale and exhale. And if you have a fairly healthy neck and you want to do a little bit more, we can roll the chin to the chest and the ear to the shoulder. Bring the chin forward to the chest, ear to the shoulder. We're not going to take it back. Bringing the chin down to the chest, ear to the shoulder. That's my dog Sophie barking at something. Bringing the chin to the chest, ear to the shoulder. Only if it feels good. We're only doing what feels good. And once you're finished, you can do this more or less. It's up to you. I want you to create your own yoga to do what you feel is right. We bring the chin back to the chest and leave it there for a few moments. And then bring the head back up to neutral. Now we're going to do a very traditional movement in yoga called the pelvic tilt. It helps bring circulation and blood flow into the lower back and into the pelvis, and it's often used in many of the yoga poses. We can do this in many different positions, standing, sitting, in the table pose, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to move into the table pose, onto our hands and knees. Now, some people don't like to be on their hands and knees. They have knee issues, and so you could put some cushions under your knees, or you could omit this movement altogether. Also, some people have issues with their hands. If I have my hands too close to my shoulders, there's quite a severe bend in my hands. So I usually move my hands a little farther away from my knees. So we want to be in this table position with the head lifted, not sinking down between our shoulders. And we create a little bit of engagement in our core, in our abdomen. I'll show you another way to do this. So if you're uncomfortable on your hands and knees, I'll give you a modification after this. Now, here's the pelvis, and we have two different movements in the pelvis. One is a dog tilt, and the other is the cat tilt. And when we start to move our pelvis in these two opposite directions, we notice that the spine also starts to move. And that's because the spine is connected to the pelvis. So when the pelvis moves, the lower spine then moves, then the upper spine, then the head. And when we do the cat tilt, the lower back starts to move, the mid spine, the upper spine, and then the head. So we lift the tailbone up to the ceiling. The spinal wave begins in the lower back, the mid back, and the upper back, and that lifts the head. And when we tuck the tailbone under into the cat tilt, the lower back starts to round, the mid back, the upper back, and the chin comes to the chest. Inhale as you lift the pelvis up into the dog tilt. Exhale as you tuck the tailbone under into the cat tilt. And we coordinate this movement with the breath. And I like to do it very slowly so that you can feel the spinal wave moving up your spine. And this brings nourishment to the discs in your spine. Exhale as you go into this cat tilt. And inhale as you go into the dog tilt. Exhale. And inhale. And we're going to finish with the exhalation. We're going to stay in the cat tilt. We're going to do a spinal stretch here. We're going to tuck our toes under. We're going to move our hands forward, straightening the arms. And we're going to take the pelvis back just halfway towards the heels. And once we're there, we stay here and we imagine that the upper body is moving towards the arms and the hands, and the pelvis is moving to the wall behind me. So we're trying to stretch the body in two opposite directions. The upper body towards my hands, and the lower body, my lower back and pelvis,
towards the wall behind me. This is a spinal stretch. And we relax and breathe and keep our shoulders nice and wide. And then when we're finished, we can walk our hands back. We take our knees nice and wide. We push ourselves back into the child's pose. We can bend our elbows and rest our forehead on the hands.
Here's the modification for the pelvic tilt. If you found it was difficult to put your hands and knees on the floor in the table position, you can come to the standing position. When you put your hands on the back of a chair, just use the heels of your hands and let the hands relax. You don't have to grab the chair. And then take a few steps back so that there's an angle to your spine. Notice how my spine is at about a 45-degree angle. Now my joints are not locked. I've relaxed my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, my knees. Otherwise I would be like this. So think of your joints as being springy and relaxed. And nice straight lines in the inner edges of your feet, and your feet are about hip width apart. You can bend your knees a little bit, just like in the table pose when we were doing the cat and the dog. We're doing the same thing in the standing position. So we start the movement in the pelvis. We can lift the pelvis up, lift the tailbone up towards the ceiling. The lower spine starts to lift, the chest starts to lift, and the head starts to lift. When you exhale, you round the tailbone, tuck the tailbone under, the lower back starts to round, the mid back, the upper back, and the chin comes to the chest. Begin the movement in the pelvis, lift the pelvis up, feel the chest lifting, and then the head lifting. Exhale. Round the pelvis in the opposite direction, tucking the tailbone under. Feel the lower back round, the mid back, the upper back, and then the head. Inhale, lift the tailbone up. Feel the chest lift and the head lift. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Feel the lower back round, mid back, upper back, and chin to the chest. One more time. Inhale, lifting the pelvis up. Exhale, tucking the tailbone under. Good. So now we're in Tadasana, the standing mountain pose. This is a very important pose for posture. As we stand a lot, we wait in lineups, and if we're standing like this, we're being very kind to our body rather than standing like this. Okay, so try to remember that. You're strong and sturdy like a standing mountain. But we don't lock our knees. We have a little micro bend in the knees. So you can practice locking the knees and releasing them. You don't want to lock them. Your arms are beside you, relaxed. And once again, that imaginary string is pulling you up from the top of your head. So we're going to do something for the feet. We're going to lift our toes and spread our toes and relax them back down. Lifting our toes, spreading our toes, and relaxing them. One more time, lifting the toes, spreading the toes, and relax them back down. And then we can come up onto the balls of our feet, see what happens. Some people might have to come down right away. That's okay, just go back up and see if you can stay up on your toes. In our classes, we often walk up and down our mats on our toes. Sometimes we walk on our heels. We also walk on the outer edges of our feet and the inner edges of our feet. So you can try that at home on your mat. You can walk up and down on your mat on all the different areas of your feet. You can also roll your feet on golf balls, tennis balls, yoga balls. It feels wonderful. Okay, so we're going to come up to our knees. Look after our knees. We're going to roll our knees in one direction And then roll our knees in the opposite direction. And then we're going to let that go. We're going to take a little bit of a wider stance. We're going to put our hands on our hips and we're going to circle the pelvis, warming up the pelvis and the lower back, being aware of our breath. Big, slow circles. Just see what happens. Any aches and pains coming up for you? And let's go the other way. Good. And coming back to the center. Bringing the feet back into Tadasana. Now we've all heard how wonderful walking is for us. We can walk on the spot here. We can lift our right heel off the floor, our left arm forward, and go for a little walk. It's better to go outside and enjoy the fresh air and the scenery. Sometimes you don't want to go outside. Walking is so beneficial for you. It moves most of the body. And when you swing your arms in a relaxed way, so I'm not doing this, relaxing my arms, notice how your torso twists. Your lower torso twists the opposite direction as your upper torso. Your heart is being massaged. Your lungs are being massaged. Very good for your hips, your knees, your feet, your rib cage. So get out and go for that walk. And stop whenever you've had enough. Let that go. Let the arms relax. We're going to bring our palms together, actually just the heels of our hands together, and try to do this movement where you rotate the hands towards you, keeping the wrists connected. This is very good for your forearms for preventing carpal tunnel. I'll turn in another direction so you can see what I'm doing. So you're not just keeping the fingers together, you're actually trying to keep the wrists together. And then you can go in the opposite direction. So this can help to prevent carpal tunnel for those of you who are constantly on a computer. And then letting that go. Letting the arms relax beside you. So a few movements for the shoulders. We're going to have both arms beside us. We're going to take the right arm and inhale up, and exhale, take that arm behind you. Inhaling up and exhaling back. So when you're doing this, try not to lean back. Try to stay upright in your Tadasana position. And just see what comes up, where you have any tightness or any pain. And then let's go in the opposite direction. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And after you've finished one arm, close your eyes and feel the difference between the two sides. And then we'll do the left arm. Inhaling up and exhaling back. Inhaling up and exhaling back. And if you find that this is difficult, you can take the arm out to the side like this, and that'll make it much easier. So this is the full range of movement, but if you have issues with your shoulders, you can take it into the room. Good. And then the opposite direction. Nice and slow. It's not a race. It's yoga. And let that go. And then close your eyes for a moment, just noticing the sensations. So the arms are down beside you. Let's inhale and bring the arms up to shoulder height. And exhale. Inhale, bring the arms up. See if you have this range of movement. And then bring the arms back down. So don't force yourself to go into this range of movement. Just take your arms up as high as you can. And in future segments in this series of yoga for you, I will focus on different areas of the body. I will focus on the shoulders in the future, as well as other parts of the body. And then let that go. Another movement for the spine is to take a little bit of a wider stance. Arms are down beside you. And we're going to swing the arms as we turn the spine. And we're going to lift the heels of the feet off the floor so you don't strain your knees. And we're letting the hands tap you on your back so that you can activate the adrenals and the kidneys. Again, be aware of your breath. Relax and enjoy. And then coming back to neutral, to Tadasana. Now in all the classes that I teach, we practice a balance. Balance is very important. So today we'll do a couple of very easy balances. We start in Tadasana. We shift our weight onto the leg we want to stand on. We engage our core and take the other foot off the floor. So to help concentrate, you can gaze at something on the floor, a spot on the floor, or you can lift your gaze up a little higher. Find something to focus on. And then also focus on your breath. Some of you can keep your feet very close to the floor if you're new to this. If you've been practicing for a long time, you might be able to lift your knee up to the level of your hip, or you might be able to bring your knee up even higher towards your chest. Stand tall, that imaginary string pulling you up from the top of your head. And slowly coming out of these poses as well. Don't just collapse. We begin in Tadasana again, shifting the weight onto the other leg, engaging our core, finding our breath for concentration, finding something to gaze at. The other foot comes off the floor. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Stay focused on the breath and just do what you can do. Following the breath in and following the breath out. Keep your eyes open. It's more difficult with your eyes closed. And slowly bringing the leg down. Now, if you find that balance to be difficult, I would urge you to practice every day, just shifting your weight onto one foot and taking your foot off the floor. You could put your hand on a chair and take it off of the chair just to start the balancing process. So please start to practice balancing. At the end of each class, we will practice Shavasana, the relaxation pose. This is where your body can absorb the yoga and relax, and for you to experience resting and staying connected to where you are in that moment. So thank you. Namaste. It's time to do Shavasana, the relaxation pose. This allows the body to absorb the yoga and to relax. It's necessary after each yoga practice. So we're going to lay down on our backs, our arms down beside us, palms face up. We can bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees open up. This will create an outward turn to the legs. And we'll slide one foot down the mat and the other foot down the mat. If you find your lower back is uncomfortable, you can take a rolled up yoga mat or a blanket and place it under your knees, just a little bit higher than your knees. And that will flatten your back a little bit, reduce some of that discomfort. So make any adjustments to be comfortable. And then quickly check your alignment of your head. Make sure your chin is not higher than your forehead. And then we have the mouth closed. We have a tiny little space between the lips to relax the muscles of the mouth, but we're still breathing through the nostrils. And we bring our mind and awareness to that space below the nostrils, above the upper lip, where we witness and observe the breath as it falls into the nostrils and falls out of the nostrils. If your mind is wandering, bring it back to the nostrils, back to the breath, back to where you are right now, here in this moment. And notice if your body is relaxed or is it tense. And try to relax your feet, your legs, your pelvis. Relax your shoulders, your arms, your hands. And relax your head, your face, your eyes, your forehead. Keep coming back to the breath. You can stay in Shavasana for as long as you like. It's recommended to stay at least 5 minutes, preferably 10 or 15. And when you're ready to come out, you start to move your toes, move your fingers very mindfully and slowly. And gently move your head, roll your head from side to side. And then bring your head back to the center. Slide the arms along the floor until they're up over your head. Bring your legs a little closer together. Inhale, nice big stretch out through the feet and out through the hands. Exhale out through the open mouth. One more time, big stretch. Big inhalation and then a big exhalation. Slowly bending the knees, bringing them to the chest. Put your hands around your knees and slowly roll across your lower back from side to side, very mindfully. And eventually rolling over onto the right side into the fetal position. You can stay there for a few moments. And when you're ready to come up, use your left hand, press it into the floor, put your back round, and uncurl your spine as you come back up, nice and slow, with mindfulness. Back to your seated posture, where you can find your sit bones and lengthen your spine, relax your shoulders, return to your breath. We'll bring our hands to the heart center. Namaste. Thank you.